Managing money as a content creator feels really overwhelming when you have money coming in super sporadically and you're not really sure how your business income translates into your personal budget when you're considering things like business expenses, taxes, inconsistent income. I've been doing this for years and I remember how overwhelmed I was watching my income grow but not really having the system set up in order to manage it. So today in this video, I'm showing you my exact financial systems for managing my content creator income like a CEO. If you're starting to make some money online but you're feeling overwhelmed on how to manage it, here are some systems that can help you scale. Let me just paint the picture of what typically happens when you start making money as a content creator. One day you're making a few $100s a month, and then before you know it, the payments, they start coming in, but they're coming in super sporadically. They're coming in from all of these different sources, and you're thinking, wait, is this actually a business and should I be treating it as one? But I feel like this is where most creators get stuck. You're in this weird middle ground of you're making decent money, but you're not exactly sure how long you're going to be making the money for and if it's sustainable. Everything just feels kind of messy and unofficial, and because of all of that uncertainty, you kind of put off building the right systems. Everything just goes into your personal checking account and you keep telling yourself you'll figure it out later when your income grows. The best piece of advice that I got from a CPA my very first year making money as a content creator was to treat myself like a business from day one. I say this all the time related to personal budgeting, but setting up systems and setting up the proper systems before you start making a ton of money is actually the best way to get ahead financially. If you start budgeting, building good spending habits, setting aside a portion of your income every single month to save, if you're doing all of that when you're not making a ton of money, when you inevitably do start making a ton of money, you're already going to have really good money habits, really good money systems set up in order to manage that new income. It works the exact same in business. The sooner you start setting up systems, taking yourself seriously, learning how to manage multiple streams of income and variable income, the sooner you'll be able to scale your creator business. Before I go through all of my financial systems, if any of this sounds like you, this is exactly why I created the Rich Girl newsletter. Every single week, I'm sending you free resources straight to your email on things like exactly how I manage my creator finances, systems for scaling your online business, behind the scenes of what's actually working for me, and tips for building sustainable wealth as a content creator. I'll put the link in the description. It's completely free to join, and you'll even get my step-by-step blueprint for building an online business from scratch immediately as a little sneak peek. Now let's get into all of my systems for how I manage my money as a content creator. The most important thing that you absolutely need to do on day one, regardless of how much money you're making online, is to get a separate checking account for your business income and your personal income. I feel like this is the step that a lot of creators look over because they're not really thinking of themselves as a business just yet. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. It doesn't matter if you have an actual LLC set up for your social media income. Just getting separate checking accounts is going to make this entire flow work for you. So this separate checking account should be thought of as your business revenue account, and then your main checking account, the one that you're using today, that should be thought of as your personal spend account. For your business revenue account, this is the account that all of your different income on the creator side goes. If you still have a full-time job, so you're like W-2 employment, that income can flow directly into your personal checking account, but any money that you're making online through social media, that should all flow into your business revenue account. In this video, I'm going to talk through my system for flowing money through my business revenue account into my personal spend account. So the personal spend account is the account that we're going to budget off of and use to fund our everyday personal expenses. The reason why it is so important, so crucial to have two separate checking accounts is because business revenue and personal income are not a one-to-one comparison, and I cannot stress this enough. When you're making money as a creator, you're making money online, that money is pre-tax income. The money that's being deposited into your personal spend account from your full-time employer, that is post-tax income, post-taxes, post-deductions. And this might not sound like the biggest deal, but this is actually a huge deal, and combining everything into one checking account makes it really complicated for you to be able to see just how much money you actually have to spend every single month in your personal budget. So now let's get into exactly how to make that money flow from your business checking into your personal checking for your personal budget. Before you start transferring money from your business account into your personal account, it's important to figure out your business's monthly cash flow or your net business revenue after taxes, after business expenses, which gives you the leftover number that can be transferred into your personal account. This is why it's super important to do your business's bookkeeping on a monthly basis. And I feel like bookkeeping is kind of like a buzzword and it makes people really anxious. It's just the process of figuring out what did my business earn this month and what did my business spend this month. Having a business checking account makes this process super easy because you can just log into your business checking account and see how much money came in, how much money came out for all of my expenses. Your income minus your expenses gives you your net business revenue. However, this is still pre-tax business revenue and we need to factor in taxes before we can pull that money out and put it into our personal checking account. I personally save 40% 40% of every single dollar that goes into my business checking account for taxes. I worked with a CPA to kind of figure out this number, and I also took the approach that I would rather be super conservative than save too little for taxes. How I came up with 40% was 30% for federal and 10% for state taxes. So every single time business revenue goes into my business checking account, 40% of that is automatically added into a little sub reserve account so that when I'm doing my quarterly tax estimates, I have the money sitting there and I don't have to stress about it. I personally use Novo as my business checking account, and they let you set this up automatically. So 40 cents out of every dollar that gets deposited into my checking account automatically gets taken out for taxes. Now your business income minus your business expenses gives you your net business revenue. We're taking a percentage of that out for taxes, and the amount of money left over is the amount that you cash flowed in your business that month. Next, we're gonna decide if we do in fact pull that entire number out and put it into our personal checking account. But if this conversation about taxes and business expenses is overwhelming you and you wanna learn more, I just filmed a completely free hour-and-a-half long webinar with a CPA all about intro to business for content creators. So things you need to know to prepare for your first tax season as a content creator making money online. I'll put the link to that free webinar in the description of this video if you want to check that out. Now let's talk about the personal side of your budget, because if you're a content creator, you're in one of two buckets. You're either spending every single dollar that you're making online, or you're afraid to spend anything because you have no idea how much money you're making and you feel like the money's going to disappear on you, so you're just hoarding everything in your personal checking account. So here's my framework for turning business revenue into personal income by paying myself from my business. The first step is to figure out how much money your personal lifestyle costs you. If you are super good at budgeting and keeping up with your expenses, maybe you already know this number, but I feel like most people don't, so we're gonna start here. I like to use the budget planner tab of my budget template in order to do this exercise, but write it down on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter where you do it, just find something that works for you. But the purpose of this exercise is to figure out how much money your lifestyle costs you without factoring in the income. Whenever we budget, we obviously start with our income. We say, I got paid $3,000 for my corporate salary this month. Let's divvy up that income and see where it's gonna go. But in this exercise, we're almost going to reverse engineer our budget and take the income out of the equation and just start adding up how much our lifestyle costs us every single month. So add in your needs like your rent, groceries, utilities, bills, assign numbers to those. Do the same on the one side of your budget. Discretionary items like when you go out to restaurants with your friends, if you do any shopping throughout the month. It's important to be realistic here. So if you do go out to dinner with your friends once or twice a week, don't put $50 for your restaurant budget for the month. But we also don't want to go super crazy here and just assume that we're going to be spending money outrageously over the next year. You're also going to put in any debt payments. So if you have a student loan, a car loan, and then last put in any immediate things that you're saving for. So if you do save for your emergency fund every single month and you do $200 into that savings account, through this exercise, we are seeing how much money our day-to-day lifestyle actually costs us. So this number that we got here tells us how much money we need to make every single month on a post-tax basis in order to fund our lifestyle. Now that you have this number, if you do still have a full-time job, you are going to take your full-time post-tax salary, subtract this number, and this is the amount that you absolutely need to pay yourself from your business account every single month in order to fund your lifestyle. Maybe you don't have a full-time job anymore and this number comes out to $4,000 a month, and that's how much money you need to fund into your personal checking account every single month in order to live. This number is super important on the business side because it basically tells you your monthly net business revenue that you need to make. So let's say that number does come to $3,500 a month that you need in order to fund your personal budget. But you're doing your bookkeeping every month and you're realizing that your business revenue minus your expenses, minus taxes, you really only have around $2,000 left over. You'll have to go back to the drawing board and either figure out how to make additional money in your business. Do you need to supplement that with a full-time or a part-time job? Or is there places in your budget that you can cut your expenses? But if you're looking at your monthly business bookkeeping and you're like, okay, that number is at or above the monthly amount that I need to pay myself in order to fund my personal lifestyle, I'd recommend that number, the amount that you absolutely need in order to live on the personal budget side, I would recommend that number being the amount that you pay yourself every single month into your personal checking account. The idea here is to get your creator business revenue that currently feels all sporadic and all over the place, to get that to a point where it feels like a monthly set salary that you're paying yourself every single month. But then that begs the question of, okay, well, what do I do with the additional money? If that number that I'm paying myself every single month is $3,500 a month, but my my leftover business cash flow that month is $5,000 this month. What do I do with that additional $1,500? I personally like to keep around 2 months worth of expenses in my business checking account. By expenses, I mean the amount that I pay myself in my salary every month, my average business expenses every month. So if I pay for some like business software, if I hire contractors on a monthly basis, my salary plus the expenses, I like to keep around 2 months worth of that in my business checking account just so I know that I can continue paying myself every month. Then after that, the money that's left over in your business checking account truly is leftover money and you get to decide what you do with it. At this point, you absolutely can withdraw more money into your personal checking account on top of your set salary. However, I would recommend that every time you do withdraw more money on top of that set salary, do it with the intent of that money going straight onto your financial goals. So for example, let's say you got to a point where there was an extra $10,000 sitting in your business checking account that you didn't really have a purpose for. Withdraw that money into your personal checking account and then put that 10K straight into your investment account or straight into a savings account for a home down payment. This helps avoid lifestyle creep. If we have learned anything as content creators, it is that the income is super volatile. Anytime you're managing inconsistent income, anytime you have a high month, you could also have a low month that follows that. And the last thing that we want to do is get used to spending a lot of money every single month, because then that monthly business minimum that we absolutely need to make every single month in order to sustain this, that minimum becomes so much higher and we feel the pressure to make a lot more money as content creators. So in my personal budget, again, I use my budget template, but find whatever money system works for you as a budgeting tool on the personal side. In the income portion, I am only including my salary, so the amount that I'm paying myself into my personal account, not my top line business revenue. When I'm logging my expenses, I'm only logging the expenses that I incur on the personal side because business expenses should be coming out of the business account. And then if I do end up taking a big lump sum of money on top of my set salary, I will log that in as income, but then I'll also log what I did with the money. So let's say I logged an additional 10K in income that month. When I'm logging all of my expenses, I will log that I transferred $10,000 into my home down payment savings account. Taking my business finances seriously was such a big step that I needed to take in order to become a full-time content creator, and I have learned so much along the way. But if you do want to learn more about this topic, remember to check out the webinar that I filmed with a CPA, which I will put in the description of this video.